Hello everyone and welcome to another video on the channel. Today's video is going to be another weekly watches, and I've actually beaten my own record this week. Got 15 films watched within the last week since I did my last video, which is a record mainly because last Sunday I ended up, for some god unknown reason, watching 5 films physically. I don't know why, but I did, and I got them all watched. And I've watched quite a lot during the week as well, so hence the 15 titles. We're going to talk about some good, some not very good. Very mixed bag this week for me, I'll say. Got a halo above me. Not an angel, but got a halo above me nonetheless. Anyway, getting started with the first film I watched, which was Letters to Juliet, a film that has been sat on my shelf for years now, and I'd just never had the will to put it on and give it a watch. But I obviously had a theme this month, and my theme for this month was love films, as well as trying to rewatch the Scream films in preparation for the 7th one next week. And this was one I thought, if I don't pull it out now, I'm never going to watch it. And I'm glad I did watch it, because it's definitely a very mediocre one-time watch film. Now, it basically follows Amanda Seyfried. I don't know how you say her name correctly, so apologies. I think she did say it's Seyfried. I think it's Amanda Seyfried. I think is how you say her name correctly, she said. And she's basically this fact checker for a newspaper in New York. And she goes basically to Rome, I think, for something to do. She's getting married. She goes to Verona, Italy. And there she meets a group of women that basically write letters. Juliet is the pen name they go under. They answer letters that loved ones send to each other in the hopes that it will get to them. And she finds this bunch of letters from many years ago that belonged to Claire, played by Vanessa Redgrave. Always great seeing Vanessa Redgrave on screen. And she then is sort of determined to help her find her long lost love, who just so happens to be played by her real life lover, Franco Nero, her husband. And yeah, they go on a journey across Italy to try and find him. It's very generic. It looks good. It's just a typical, quite cheesy, very middle of the road romantic drama. I begrudge to call it a comedy because it isn't funny. It's more a lovey thing than anything else. But if you're really into these sorts of films, then you might like it more than me. I mean, I thought I liked these sorts of films. But it's just, and when you get to the end and you bloody hear Taylor Swift start playing, you're like, I know exactly what this film is. Now, you don't need to tell me anymore. So yeah, not a great start to the week, but could have been worse, because I could have started my week with bloody Hellboy the Crooked Man. Another one. I think I picked this up the last Birmingham trip. I don't know what possessed me to pick this up, because it didn't really. I like Hellboy. I love the Del Toro Hellboy films. But the last one with David Harbour wasn't very good. This one, I watched the trailer, didn't look very good, and I should have just stayed away from it, if I'm being honest with you. It feels like a student-made film, or like a really poor attempt at a fan-made film of Hellboy. You can tell the budget is not there. The special effects are just terrible. The acting is not good at all. Hellboy himself, is it Jack Kesey? Terribly miscast in my opinion. The story, they had something there, but it just wasn't strong enough, because the other elements of the film just didn't work. It's set in the 50s, so this is probably the earliest set Hellboy film, in the late 50s, and Hellboy's basically on this freight train going back to what they called, I can't remember what the team is, the headquarters of the place he works at, to bring back this demonic sort of spider. But the train crashes, the spider gets away, and then some weird supernatural shit with witches and demons starts happening, and I was like, I don't really know what's going on here. I tried, I got about 30 minutes in, and then I was just like, yeah, I'm sort of out at this point. So I wasn't really paying attention for the rest of the film. Good that it was only an hour and a half, because it's only an hour and a half time wasted. But yeah, not a fan of this. Just my advice is go back to the Del Toro films, even the David Harbour one, because even though that's bad, it was fun at least. This is not a fun film, and I cannot recommend it. Hellboy, the Crooked Man. Oh, Jim. I had the time of my life. Yep, I rewatched Jim's favourite film, Dirty Dancing, again, because it's part of the season. For love, everybody share their love. Jim, I'm talking to you. Um, yeah, I love Dirty Dancing. I know it's got people. I know Nige isn't a fan of this either. He was mentioning on the stream last week. It's not. I 100% can get behind why people wouldn't like this film, but because I'm a sucker for a romantic film, it works for me. I like the setup, I like the characters, I like the music in it. It's just my type of film, but I fully respect those that just despise the film, because it's just one of those 80s films. Patrick Swayze I love in this film. Jennifer Grey's alright, but I think Patrick Swayze's the best part of the film in my opinion. The music's great for me. The songs, I mean, you hear them on the radio all the time. Probably some of the most overplayed songs ever, especially Hungry Eyes, always on the radio. And I like this set. I've had this for a long time now. I've seen this film quite a few times now, but I've shown it off on the channel before. There's a video, if you go back a few years. I did show everything off, so I'm not going to get it all out again. You can have a look there, pause the video and see what it comes with, but I got it at a good price years ago as well. And yeah, it's just a not a guilty pleasure film, it's just a cheesy, easy watching film for me, I would say. So yeah, that's Dirty Dancing. Then I gave Black Phone 2 a watch. I missed this one at the cinema last year. I really enjoyed the first one. I just loved the tension, just the story, the characters, the grabber so menacing in that first film, and just the way it was shot, the way the actual film looks, and they carry that look over into this film for the betterment of the film, I would say. And it's a pretty solid sequel as far as horror sequels go. They had to try and find a way to bring the grabber back after what happened at the end of the last one. I won't spoil it in case you haven't seen it. And I think the way they did it is the best way they could have gone down, the best route they could have gone down. And it was nice seeing the characters that were only briefly in the first film have more of a story in this. This film is more about the sister than obviously in the first film it was about. Is it Finney Shaw, who is played by Mason Thames, who you may know from also being in How to Train Your Dragon last year and Regretting You. Yeah, it's a solid horror sequel. Like I say, I did enjoy it. I thought it was good. There was some good jump scares that got me. Visually, it looked great. Some of the graphic stuff really good, and it's just a continuation. If you've seen the first one, their story continues. Somehow the grabbers come back. It's linked to their past as well, family past. They've got to go to this sort of college camp, whatever you call it, a la Friday the 13th, a film which I still haven't seen. It's like a camp for kids. I don't know what you call them. There is a word, but summer camp, something like that. God knows. And yeah, they basically got to try and find out what happened many years ago, get behind it and stop the grabber for good. Yeah, enjoyable film. Would recommend that, especially if you haven't seen it yet and you did enjoy the first one, because like I said, very solid follow-up in my opinion. We followed that one up with a rewatch of Hot Tub Time Machine, which I hadn't seen for years, and I forgot how much I enjoyed this film. It's just such a easy watching comedy, and probably in my opinion John Cusack's last great role. I did really like him as Brian Wilson in Love and Mercy, and older Brian Wilson. I thought he was really good in that. But I mean, this is his roots. Comedy is John Cusack's roots, and I feel like this was his last, maybe even was his last comedy role at all. Don't know if he's been in any sort of comedy project since this one. I know he cameos in the second awful film. But this is just a great film, a throwback to sort of 80s teen comedies that John Cusack was in. About a group of friends. One of them is quite depressed. They decide to take him away for the weekend, a guy's weekend away, at this cabin that they went to when they were kids in the 80s. So they get there. Nothing's changed. Everything's the same as it was in the 80s. It's sort of just down to the bellboy, or whatever you call it, the guy that takes the luggage in, played by Crispin Glover, in what is a clear throwback to obviously Back to the Future. And there's a gag that runs through the film that I've really liked. I won't spoil it in case you haven't seen it. And they have a hot tub in their room that just so happens to be a time machine, that they have a night of fun and debauchery. And they get in and they wake up and they're still in the tub, but they in the 1980s again, and they are their younger selves, and they've got to try and get back, basically. You've got Chevy Chase, who's the maintenance guy, I think he's called. He knows all about the hot tub and its powers, and he sort of comes in and out as and when throughout the film. Sebastian Stan sort of playing the bad boy in this, the douche, shall we say. Probably quite an early role for him, I would have thought. I can't recall seeing him in anything prior to this. But yeah, just a fun American comedy that is genuinely funny, and if you've not seen it, give it a go if you're into your comedies, because it's one that I really do enjoy. Then I decided to watch Let It Ride. I believe Jim was talking about on maybe a few live streams ago. Said he recommended this. We were going through sort of underrated films, I think, or something to do with the 80s or comedies. And this film was brought up. And I like Richard Dreyfuss, and I was like, that's been in my collection for ages. I know it's going to be short, and it is. It's an hour and a half, bang on. So I thought, I'll put it on, give it a go, see what I think of it. And unfortunately, it's very middle of the road for me again. There were definitely some standout funny scenes in this, but the whole racing, gambling... I'm not a fan of gambling films. I've never gambled in my life. I don't get it. I don't get the fascination with it. That's just me personally. So gambling films like this, obviously this is more to do with horse racing and gambling on horse racing. I don't really get a lot of the stuff that they talk about in this, which is probably why this film doesn't fully work for me. Like I said, there are clearly some funny bits in this, funny parts that happen, but I think it's just the way what the film is set around, the fact that it's a gambling film, not 100% one that works for me. So yeah, that's Let It Ride. A beautiful film next, and I've got my friend Sam over at Sammy G's World of Cinema to thank for this one. He recommended this one to me many times, and it's just come out on Blu-ray, so I got it as part of my voucher. In fact, I think I did show this in last week's Weekly Watches. The Straight Story by David Lynch. Please go and check out Sammy's channel. He's just done a ranking of all of David Lynch's films, and I'm sure he would appreciate anyone that goes and leaves him a comment, shows some support. So please do go and just check his channel out down below if you don't do so already. Great guy. Yeah, really good guy. One of my close friends, I would say now as well. This is based on a true story of Alvin Straight. Now, he is diagnosed with terminal cancer. He lives with his daughter, who has a stammer that is quite a strong stammer, in a very different role for Sissy Spacek here. And he gets word that his brother has just had a stroke or a heart attack, I believe it is. I think it is a stroke. And he decides that he needs to go and see him before he dies. If it's the last thing he does, sort of thing. So he decides to purchase a sit-on lawnmower because he can't drive, and neither can his daughter. And travel across America to go and see his brother. Lovely story, very simple, that is it. And it's all about his journey, the people he meets on the way as well. And it's just a beautifully shot film. The score by Angelo Badalamenti, is it? Badalamenti, who did all of David Lynch's films and Twin Peaks, of course. Beautiful score that really fits well in this film. Very different sort of David Lynch film, but really good film. If you want a good drama based on a true story, then yeah, I would say definitely give The Straight Story a go. Next up, we have a rewatch of a film that I don't remember being too big on when I watched it the first time. Bearing in mind this was many years ago, so I practically remembered nothing about the film, which I think was a good benefit for me going into this. And that's My Best Friend's Wedding with Julia Roberts, who's one of my favourite actresses. Cameron Diaz, Dermot Mulroney, Rupert Everett. And it's from the director of Muriel's Wedding, which is a film that I really do like. Follows Julia Roberts' character, she's a food critic. She writes for a food column or something, I think. And her best friend, played by Dermot Mulroney, is getting hitched to Cameron Diaz, who she's never met before. It's the first she's heard of it. They always said that if they were still 28 and they were still single, they would marry each other. It's weeks away from her turning to 28. She thinks he's going to ask her the question, but he gets her together to tell her that he's getting married. And she does everything in her power to try and stop that from happening. And it's that sort of comedy. It's a good film. It's a good rom-com. I do like it. There's some really sweet moments. The end with Rupert Everett, I did really like that, when obviously they're on the phone with each other and he's telling her about the cake and the dress and all that, and he's just sat there waiting for her in his tuxedo. I thought that was a nice touch, a nice way to end the film. Yeah, I really do like this one. A really sweet rom-com. So yeah, that's My Best Friend's Wedding. Next up, I went with We Own the Night, which is a 2007 crime drama, I would say. It's directed by James Gray, who also did another great crime drama called The Yards, which I would really recommend, also starring Joaquin Phoenix. And this one has Joaquin Phoenix as... he's a bit of an outlier in his family. He runs... he's a manager at this big nightclub run by a Russian family. You find out more about them later on. Are they seedy? Are they not? And he lives in... he's part of a family of cops. His brother's a cop, played by Mark Wahlberg, and his father's a cop. He's the chief of police, played by the late great Robert Duvall, which was the reason, coincidentally, I wanted to watch this. And it's basically shit goes down, and he has no other choice but to inform on these people that are operating at the club that he's managing. And he doesn't like that because he feels like his family's ruining his life, interfering with his life. His girlfriend, not too keen on that either, played by Eva Mendes. And it's sort of about how he is going to get out of this. Really, really solid stuff. I did really enjoy this. I recommended this one to Sam, actually. I think Sam might like this one. But yeah, that is We Own the Night. Another one I recommended to Sam because I know for a fact that he will love this film, as I did. The Meddler, starring Rose Byrne and Susan Sarandon. More of Susan Sarandon's film. She is the lead in this, I would say. Got J.K. Simmons, who I love in this as well. And this follows Susan Sarandon's character, who is at a stage in life. She's lost her husband. She lives on her own. She just wants to get involved with other people's lives because she wants to feel like she has sort of a purpose in life still. So she meddles, hence the title, with her daughter's life. Her daughter's a Hollywood screenwriter. She begrudges the fact that her mother just wants to be fully involved in her life all the time. She even gets involved with her daughter's friends, and she even goes as far to finance one of her daughter's friends' weddings. And along the way, she meets J.K. Simmons' character, who's an ex-cop. They obviously fall in love. It's that sort of film. It's a very sweet film. Again, not too long, an hour and a half. Very endearing, heartwarming little indie sort of comedy drama. And Susan Sarandon, you can't go wrong. And she is fantastic in this, as you would expect her to be. If you're looking for a nice, easy watch, I'd give this one a go because I did really enjoy this. I thought this was a really nice, pleasant watch. Then we go to Dear John, another one that has just been sat on my shelf for years, and it was the only Nicholas Sparks adaptation that I hadn't seen, being making some of my favourite romantic films like The Notebook, A Walk to Remember, The Best of Me. Love those films. But for some reason, I again never had the inkling to go and watch this one. I'm not big on Amanda Seyfried, however the fuck you pronounce her last name. Might be one of the reasons why I haven't watched this. And much like Letters to Juliet, very mediocre, average film. Not much going for it. Didn't really. Best part of the film was Richard Jenkins, who plays Channing Tatum's character's father, who has got autism. Now, I've probably mentioned it before, I am on the autism spectrum, so when they portray autism correctly, it's always a win for me. I always like seeing that on screen, and I thought he did a brilliant job in here. I thought the way the character was, just lots of commonalities with myself there. Yeah, just a good performance in a very average film, I would say. Because the film itself, the story, didn't do anything for me, unfortunately. It was just a very average love story that seemed quite paper thin and felt like there was not really much there to go on, if I'm being honest with you. But yeah, hey, anyway, that's Dear John. Next up, I couldn't decide what to watch, so I just stuck a random film on. It's one I picked up a while back, and I wasn't paying attention to this one at all, really, so I can't really give many thoughts on it. Pete's Meteor, Brenda Fricker, Alfred Molina, and Mike Myers. You'd never put those three together, would you? A film that was sort of hidden, and I've read a bit about it afterwards. Apparently, it just couldn't get any US distribution, so it never got released in America. It only ever got released over here, very limited, and in Ireland, where it was obviously made. So it was shoved under a rock once it came out, basically, and completely forgotten about until I'm mentioning it now. It was okay from what I saw. I'll keep it, decase it, I expect, probably go back to it again in the future. But you basically follows these three young boys who, as boys do back in, I think it's in the 90s, get up to no good. Kids will be kids, they just want to have a bit of fun. Now, one night, a meteor crashes into one of the kids' grandmothers, played by Brenda Fricker's backyard, I'm not American, back garden, and they instantly become fascinated with it until the government comes and basically takes it away. And it's being looked at, probed by Alfred Molina's character, who the kids sort of start to form a bond with, a friendship. Now, you've also got Mike Myers' character, who is their uncle to their late father, his late brother, who is just an ex-junkie, no good, nothing, like no good for anything sort of character. Very odd seeing Mike Myers try and play this sort of character. So much so, I think that's what took me out of the film. I just wasn't expecting to see Mike Myers do something like this. Because it's a very, very serious role. He's trying to basically get out of this life. He wants to have a better life. He needs to get his family safe. And it's a quite sad ending. It was quite a sad ending. It's a decent film. Give it a go. Like I said, I thought it was alright. Need to give it another go, to be fair on it, because I wasn't fully paying attention all the way through on this one. Nearly there, 3 to go. A rewatch of If, which was one of my favourite films of 2024. And if you've ever wanted to know what a live action Pixar film would look like, look no further. If is that film. It basically follows the story of this young girl. She's recently lost her mother. That's what the film leads us to believe at the start. Her father's in and out of hospital, actually played by John Krasinski, who wrote and directed the film. So she's living with her grandmother, played by Fiona Shaw, who's always brilliant. And while she's living there, she sort of accidentally meets Ryan Reynolds' character, who sort of leads, helps, works with these ifs is what they're called, imaginary friends, and a lot of these imaginary friends have been forgotten, and they live in this like sort of retirement home for imaginary friends. And basically she's got to try and help people feel the inner child again. And it, on paper, yeah, and probably the way I'm describing it, it's a kid's film. I mean, it's a it looks like a kid's film. This is much more than just a kid's film. This, like I said, imagine a live action Pixar film. That is what this film is. It is for kids, but by God, as an adult, this will hit you hard still. And the ending, every time I watch it, it gets me. It is one of those endings. I'm not a massive Ryan Reynolds fan. This is one of my favourite films of his, I would say. Yeah, I mean, more so than Deadpool, because I get sick of that character, and he is not playing that in this film. Just a really delightful film. Lots of big name voice actors in it. I mean, you got like Matt Damon, Brad Pitt, Emily Blunt, obviously. There's loads. Christopher Maloney. I'm just trying to think. Richard Jenkins. Lots and lots of names. You look the names of the voices in this. Steve Carell plays the big purple one. I forgot his name. Phoebe Waller-Bridge. It's a delightful film. I really do recommend this one. If you've not seen it, give it a go. And I do think you will be surprised. That is if. Then I had the obligatory rewatch of Scream, which is probably my favourite horror film of all time. This film is what really opened my eyes to going into the horror genre. Before watching this, I was not a horror fan at all. I still can't confidently call myself a horror fan because there's lots of horror that I still haven't even delved into yet. But I'm more open to horror now than I was before watching this film. This film just opened my eyes. I just love this film because horror doesn't have to be one set thing. Horror can be many different sorts of things. And this is horror, but it's a drama, it's a thriller, there's comedy moments in it as well. It's got lots of different layers to it, and it's just a great story. Great characters in this, and great kills, great jump scares. Most people have probably seen Scream. If you're a movie fan, I'm sure you've already seen the Scream films. If not, at least the very least the first one. I obviously love the opening scene because Drew Barrymore gets killed off in the first 10 minutes, and I cheer every time. I'm joking. I'm not that sick. But yeah, I'm glad that she isn't the lead in this film. I'm glad that Neve Campbell's the lead because she is one of the best final girls in horror, in my opinion. Courtney Cox, David Arquette, just the original trio are just pure perfection, and it's just a perfect horror film in my opinion. I love it. I love the sequel almost just as much. And the other films are good, not great, but the other films are just as good. The fifth one's probably the next closest one to the first two. I'm going to try and get them all rewatched before 7. It's unlikely that I will, but I'll give it a go. But yeah, that is Scream. And the last film I watched this week was Larger Than Life, which is a film starring Bill Murray and I think Ty the Elephant, I think. Basically, it follows Bill Murray's character, who is a recliner chair salesman. He's living his life, the big life. He finds out that the father that he thought died before he was born has just, in real fact, only just passed away and left him an inheritance. So he has to travel to a small town to collect his inheritance from a lawyer. He thinks it's $35,000, so he's happy with $30,000. He's happy about this. He signs it away. He's waiting for his money until he's told that his father was a clown, as in he was a clown at a circus, and that he actually owes him $35,000 for back taxes, payments, fees, that sort of stuff, and that he's only really inherited a box full of his old clown stuff and an elephant. What's Bill Murray going to do with an elephant? He's got to get all the way back home. He can't just leave the elephant. He's got to find a new home for the elephant. So it's a road film, really, and it's about the characters they meet along the way. Matthew McConaughey in a very early role, playing sort of the villain of the film, I suppose. Very out there character he's playing in this. But yeah, it's a fun film. And I saw an interview, apparently Bill Murray said that it's one of his best co-stars. So he said it was a joy working with the elephant. So there you go. That's my last film of the week, Larger Than Life. And we're there. We did it in 30 minutes, just over 30 minutes. Wow, that's a lot to talk about in 30 minutes, but I got there. I did it. Sorry that I waffled on if I did, but a lot to talk about in 15 films in 30 minutes. So, yeah, please do let me know your thoughts on any of those ones if you've seen them down in the comments, obviously. You know, I get back to everyone that leaves me a comment. And please do join us on the live stream tomorrow night at 7 p.m. as usual. And tomorrow, we're full tomorrow. We got full capacity. There'll be 6 of us on tomorrow. So, obviously myself and my usual, I call them co-hosts now because they are pretty much permanent fixtures at the moment on every week. And that is, of course, Andy and Kenny. Great guests, great friends, always on, always good having them on. And we've also got Sam returning tomorrow after I suppose a week hiatus because he was on the week before. And Nige's coming back from last week because he enjoyed himself so much. I'm very glad that he wants to come back again this week. So it'd be great to have Nige on again tomorrow. And a very special welcome to my first time special guest, Carlos, over at Eastwood for Life fan. Great channel. I'm sure everybody knows Carlos. Everybody probably already follows Carlos's channel. But if you don't, please do go and check him out. He's a great guy. Got great knowledge of westerns amongst other genres of film. Just the way he presents himself on camera and the way that he just does his videos. Just great format. Great guy. I've had a chat with Carlos this afternoon, just talking about stuff about the live stream tomorrow. And yeah, he's just a really down-to-earth, great guy. And it'll be great to have him on and just have a nice chat with him. Get to know a bit more about him. And you guys can ask him any questions you want to as well. Same with anyone else. You can ask us all questions if they're appropriate. We will, of course, answer them. But yeah, that's tomorrow night at 7 o'clock as usual. We are going to stay quite tight tomorrow to 2.5, 3 hours, so 9:30, 10 finish, just to make it in a nice tight stream tomorrow. I don't know what we're going to be talking about yet. Obviously, it depends on your guys' comments if you decide to watch us. A mix of what we've been watching recently, our usual physical media recommendations, stuff that's been going on in the news, movie related in the last week. I'm sure all of that will get brought up tomorrow, so please, even if you've only got 5 minutes to spare, please do come and join us tomorrow. It'd be great to have anyone come along, even if you just watch and you don't comment, still appreciated. But yeah, that is it for today's video. So if you like the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. Turn your notification bell on so you know when I have a new video uploaded to the channel. Comment down below anything and everything. As you know, I always take the time to get back to anyone that leaves me a comment because I really do appreciate it. And that is it. So until next time, everyone, take care. Goodbye.